Yeah, and just be open to finding your optimal level of functioning, you know? Yes, you're fine, you're thriving, you have 7 degrees, that's awesome, but there's always room for improvement, and we need to be open to finding areas of improvement and have that growth mindset. We don't want to just be stuck where we are with our 7 degrees.
Sure. Yeah,
we want to be able to be the best version of ourselves every day, and sometimes crawling can make that shift.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica, and this is All Things Sensory by Harkla.
We are both certified occupational therapy assistants, and together with Harkla, we are on a mission to empower parents, therapists, and educators to help raise confident and strong children of all abilities.
On this podcast, we chat about all things sensory, diving into special needs, occupational therapy, parenting, self-care, overall health and wellness, and so much more.
We are here to provide raw, honest, and fun strategies, ideas, and information for parents, therapists, and educators, as well as other professionals to implement into daily life.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey there, welcome back to All Things Sensory by Harkla. We're so happy to have you here today. I'm Rachel.
I'm Jessica.
And today we're talking about one of our all-time favorite topics, which is crawling.
But not just about crawling. We're specifically going to talk about how to respond when someone says, I didn't crawl and I'm fine.
Because believe it or not, we get that response a lot, especially older adults, or even people say that about their kids. My kid is 40 now and didn't crawl and they're fine. So we're going to demystify, debunk that, and then talk about how you can respond, or we're just going to have an open, honest conversation about it.
So first of all, it's important to remember that everyone is unique. Everyone has their own developmental timeline. And it might be true that somebody in infancy didn't crawl and they are fine. That is absolutely possible. We're not trying to say that you are wrong, but we want to point out the many, many, many benefits of crawling in infancy and what skills that helps to develop for later life. And then also, of course, we'll talk about the benefits of crawling as you get older. So the first one would be strength and endurance. Anytime you are putting weight through your muscles, you are building muscle strength, you are building endurance as you do it every day. So for an infant who is learning to crawl before they walk, which is ideal, they are building muscle strength and endurance through their hips, their core, their shoulders, their arms, and their hands.
Yes, and then next we've got hip mobility, we've got shoulder stability, we've got just that movement, that range of motion that babies and kids need in order to progress onto that future skill of walking. So that's another really important factor to consider.
Yep. Next is fine motor development, and this stems directly from the strengthening that we're doing when we're putting that weight through our arms and our hands while crawling. That sets the stage for future fine motor development, because you can't have good fine motor skills without good strength. And that's one of the things we work on in OT. We get kids who have delayed fine motor skills because they don't have the strength to have good control. So crawling helps with that.
The next one is really, really impactful, and this is visual motor skills, ocular motor skills, visual perceptual development, and this really comes from when baby is starting to navigate their environment in that crawling position. With their neck in that extended position, they're realizing spatial relations. How close am I to this? Am I going to bump into that? How far away is this object from that object? And then really working on depth perception, as well as like convergence and divergence and saccades. So really that initial visual skill development comes when babies start crawling.
Next is one of our favorite things to talk about alongside crawling is primitive reflex integration. And crawling really sets the stage for several different reflexes to help integrate, specifically the STNR, symmetrical tonic neck reflex, but it also addresses the TLR, the ATNR, and the spinal galant as well.
Can we just take a moment for primitive reflex integration? No, I just love that so much. The next one is making sure that we're bringing both sides of the brain together. Crawling is a bilateral movement, which means it's really connecting both hemispheres of the brain while you're crawling. So it works a lot on bilateral coordination as well. And it just is such a full body movement. There's so much that comes from moving both sides of your body in a coordinated pattern.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's other benefits to crawling that we didn't talk about that maybe get more specific or more nuanced.
I think maybe the last one that we could touch on is the sensory system, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That dyad of proprioception, visual, vestibular,
even tactile
input. You'll see babies who are like bear crawling over everything. They're a little avoidant of tactile input, especially like in the grass or in the dirt. So the sensory system is constantly being targeted with crawling as well.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever stop talking about how beneficial crawling is for everyone.
Never.
So even if you're fine from skipping crawling, it's still
going to be helpful.
It's still going to be helpful. It's still going to make a huge impact. Let's talk about some tips to get kids crawling. Specifically, we'll start with babies. We want to see babies starting to crawl anywhere between like 9 and 10, maybe 11 months. Mm-hmm. Basically, we want babies to master crawling on their hands and knees before they start walking.
Exactly.
So the first thing you're going to do is once you see that the baby is, whether you're working with babies or you're a parent, once the baby is in tummy time position and they start pushing themselves up onto their hands in that like cobra pose, you can start helping them get up onto their hands and their knees and progress to what we call 4-point quad rocking. So once they're able to weight bear on their hands and their knees and hold that position for a few seconds, then you can place your hands on their hips and help them gently start rocking forwards and backwards. You're not going to do this for a long period of time. It's going to be 5 seconds, 10 seconds max, and then they'll rest, and you'll do this several times during their wake windows when they're on the floor playing, and this really starts to get them to... Those are like the first steps to crawling.
Exactly. The next go-to strategy that I always recommend is, number 1, crawling upstairs if possible. Really work those hip flexors, the core, the bilateral coordination, and then crawling over obstacles. So having the baby crawl over your legs really gets their legs up and over yours, over pillows, over literally anything, rolled up blankets, and then also setting up a pop-up tunnel. Those are really great too because babies have a harder time army crawling through those, and they have a harder time doing like a janky crawl. They have a harder time doing a bum scoot as well. So if you can just set up tunnels around your entire house, your entire clinic, that's going to be great. Plus, they're great for like changing the visual components of the environment too. So we always recommend crawling through pop-up tunnels.
Mm-hmm. The next one would be pivot play and tummy time. This is one of our favorite activities that we included in one of our courses. But when baby is in tummy time on the floor, you're going to get giant Ziploc bags and you're going to fill them up with different things: rice, shaving cream, gel, what else? Beads,
Play-Doh, cereal,
Play-Doh,
water.
Anything and everything you can think of. Set up like 4, 5, 6, and sometimes it's good to double bag in case they do break, because you know Ziploc bags are not foolproof. And then you're going to use painter's tape and tape them to the floor in like a semicircle around where baby is playing on their tummy. And then they're going to start pivoting using their arms and their legs, maybe army crawling, maybe even getting up into 4-point quad to touch and play and explore these bags that are full of different items, and they'll be able to touch them and squish them. And this really helps promote those bilateral integration and coordination skills we need for crawling.
Yes. Now moving on to our older kiddos, because we always recommend having our older kiddos get down on the floor and crawl as well. And sometimes they're like, no, why am I doing this? It doesn't make sense. So number 1, make sure you explain to them why you're asking them to get down on the floor and crawl as a 7-year-old. Explain what it's doing to their brain, what it's doing to their body, how it's helpful for them, and then try setting up an obstacle course for them as well. So whether you have like tunnels set up under the chairs and blankets, or nugget or play couch tunnels, you're setting up an obstacle course so they're playing their games and they're crawling and crawling and crawling. I always like to put something on my kids' backs, so like a bean bag or a toy or something, so they have to crawl slowly and a good coordination with good form, and that kind of helps promote that good crawling form, and then it just makes it fun and it makes it silly. And sometimes that's what we have to do.
You have to all the time. Not just sometimes, all the time.
All the time.
The other one would be using animal walks for transitions. So this could be just crawling on their hands and their knees, bear walking on their hands and their feet. You could do crab walks. You could do wheelbarrow walks. You could ask them to come up with an animal walk. Any type of animal crawling position and movement for transitions during the obstacle course or transitions between activities at home. So maybe your child needs to go from the kitchen to the bathroom to brush their teeth, and you're like, okay, we're going to do an animal walk to the bathroom. What animal are you going to be? And they come up with their own animal and they do it. And we're getting the strengthening, we're getting the visual processing, we're getting the bilateral coordination with these different animal walks.
And then for our adults, because it's beneficial for
everyone,
your own brain, your own body. Exactly. So you should be absolutely getting on the floor and crawling if you're having your kids crawl. So get down on the floor and crawl together, have a crawling race forward and backwards, and then make sure that you are taking a sensory break throughout the day. I mean, when we're recording podcasts, we'll usually end up crawling around our little studio down
You're like,
here.
oh, I gotta crawl.
I know. My mom actually, who's like, I don't know, 70, she's like, yeah, I feel so much better when I'm crawling. And I was like, yeah.
Funny how that works.
I know.
Yeah, keep it simple and just use it as part of your sensory break, your brain break.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. So finally, let's address how you can respond to somebody when they say that they didn't crawl and they were fine. But after listening to this podcast, you know how important crawling is. You know how beneficial it is for all ages. So you can't just tell the person you're wrong, because that's going to start an argument.
We don't want to do that.
No. So we have to kind of reframe it and think about different things like, okay, well, maybe you are totally fine. You are successful in your day-to-day life and, you don't see that you have any challenges. But what if crawling every day made things a little bit easier?
Yeah, maybe
a little bit better.
Maybe your ability to read gets a little bit smoother and quicker. Maybe your ability to, stay more organized and focused and calm throughout the day gets a little bit easier. Maybe your upper body strength improves. Maybe you have really poor posture and your posture actually improves. So it's like, define fine, right? Because 90s girls, 80s girls, like, we all grew up and we ate and did all the things we probably shouldn't have done and turned out fine. But I feel like now we're all realizing we're actually not fine.
We could be so much better. Like, we're fine, but we could be so much better.
Exactly.
Right. I was even just thinking for parents, like, what if crawling every day helped you to have more patience with your kids because your nervous system is more regulated?
That's what I noticed personally.
Yeah. And then what if your kids are crawling with you and they are more regulated as well?
Yeah.
So I think changing the definition of fine, talking about, you're fine, but what if you were 5% better?
Yeah, and just be open to finding your optimal level of functioning, Yes, you're fine, you're thriving, you have 7 degrees, that's awesome, but there's always room for improvement, and we need to be open to finding areas of improvement and have that growth mindset. We don't want to just be stuck where we are with our 7 degrees.
Sure. Yeah,
we want to be able to be the best version of ourselves every day, and sometimes crawling can make that shift.
Absolutely. And it's a good place to start. It's an easy place to start.
Easy.
You don't need any equipment. You don't have to go buy anything. You can literally do it right now while you're finishing listening to this podcast. Unless you're driving, don't do it then.
Yeah. Okay, so we had a silly idea as we were creating the outline for this episode.
Well, these ideas are from ChatGPT, let's be real.
Can I finish what I was going to say?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say they were our ideas. And
no! I was going to say we had a silly idea to ask ChatGPT, hey, someone said that they're fine and they didn't crawl as a baby. How would you respond? Or what would be a funny response to say to them? So we asked ChatGPT. You just have to trust the process. I'll get there eventually.
I need to crawl so I have patience to listen to your full sentences. My bad. My bad.
So these are some funny ChatGPT responses when someone tells you they didn't crawl and they're fine. Do you want to read the first one?
No, you go for it.
Okay, the first one.
Long.
All right. So when someone says, well, I didn't crawl and I'm fine, you can reply with something like this. Totally. Lots of people skipped crawling and grew up just fine. But here's the thing. Crawling is like the brain's free Wi-Fi connection. You can survive without it. But when you've got it, everything runs a little smoother, better coordination, stronger reading and writing skills, and even emotional regulation. So sure, you're fine. But imagine how much more bandwidth you might have had if you crawled.
I know, I like that comparison. All right, here's another one. Of course you're fine, but crawling is like preheating the oven. Yes, you can still bake cookies without it, but they don't always come out quite the same. Gotta preheat that oven.
Write these on your hands so that way you can be like, yeah, you're fine. Okay, here's what I'm gonna say. Okay. The next one is sciencey but simple. Yep, you turned out fine, but crawling is the body's way of wiring the brain for teamwork. It's like skipping the rehearsal and going straight to the performance. Don't want to do that.
Can't skip the rehearsal.
No. Okay. Next one.
All right, last one. I believe you, but crawling just gives kids an extra set of tools, kind of like packing snacks for a road trip. You can still get there without them, but the ride is a lot smoother with them.
Love that one.
Or like the
favorite.
Airplane.
Yes.
Even on the airplane too. Like, what are some of those memes are like, this guy just raw dogged a 10-hour flight. Yes. It's like, you don't want to do that.
I know. You don't want to raw dog your life and just not crawl.
Yeah,
okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay, so there you have it. A little bit of humor. Feel free to take any of those and give ChatGPT their, it's, what respected due diligence, or it's respected,
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, if someone uses some of those experiences or those, ways of communicating, oh yeah, you're fine. Don't give us the credit because we didn't come up with those.
Oh yeah, give ChatGPT the credit.
The credit is the word that I was looking for. Yeah.
Great. Yes.
Yeah. Or you could share this podcast with someone who has maybe told you this in the past. Is that passive aggressive? I don't know.
I think it depends on how you approach it and how you share it. I think it's all about just being kind. Yeah. Somebody says, I didn't crawl and I'm totally fine. You could be like, yeah, that's great. I'm really happy that you are doing well in life. That's great. But and this is kind of the response that I give often, is that, the area that I work in, I see kids who didn't crawl as babies, and they have a lot of challenges. So that's why we stress the importance.
Exactly.
So there you go. Lots of different ideas. All
right. We hope you loved this episode. We hope you found it a little funny. We had a great time here chatting with you today. And just make sure you leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify or YouTube, wherever you're watching this. We would love to hear your feedback, and we just appreciate you being here.
Yep, we'll be back next week with another episode.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for listening to All Things Sensory by Harkla.
If you want more information on anything mentioned in the show, head over to harkla.co/podcast to get the show notes.
If you have any follow-up questions, the best place to ask those is in the comments on the show notes, or message us on our Instagram account, which is at Harkla_family or at All Things Sensory Podcast. If you just search Harkla, you'll find us there.
Like we mentioned before, our podcast listeners get 10% off their first order at Harkla. Whether it's for one of our digital courses or one of our sensory swings, the discount code SENSORY will get you 10% off. That's SENSORY.
Head to harkla.co/sensory to use that discount code right now.
We are so excited to work together to help create confident kids all over the world. While we make every effort to share correct information, we're still learning.
We will double check all of our facts, but realize that medicine is a constantly changing science and art.
One doctor or therapist may have a different way of doing things from another.
We are simply presenting our views and opinions on how to address common sensory challenges, health-related difficulties, and what we have found to be beneficial that will be as evidence-based as possible.
By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as medical advice to treat any medical condition in either yourself or your child.
Consult your child's pediatrician or therapist for any medical issues that he or she may be having.
This entire disclaimer also applies to any guests or contributors to the podcast.
Thanks so much for listening.